Up next on the Elevated Podcast.
In this week's episode,
I'm listening.
a very special guest and I
I am a creative. I am a creative first. I'm a connector of people.
are going to have a conversation
Got your attention, didn't it?
around the topic
Pause longer.
operating from your unlimited potential.
I'm seeing people adopt their personalities from trends. And I think the more that we do that, the harder it is to feel a release, to come back home,
Wow.
right? Because you're keeping up with a trend.
But get this, we're going to do it through the lyrics of one song. I don't know how far back I'm going. You don't even know. I ain't say it was gospel. I ain't say it was country. I ain't say any of that. I just said a song.
I am so nervous right now.
What's good, Elevation Nation, and welcome to the Elevated Podcast, where the it is God and success is spiritual. I'm your host, and today I have the awesome and impactful Marcus Myers with me, vibing at a higher level. Are you ready? Let's go! Welcome, bro. What's going on, man?
Hey, man. Thank you for having me. I'm really honored to be here.
Look, I'm excited. I am enthusiastic about what it is that is about to take place on today, man. How's things been going with you?
Family's good. Everything's going well in our world. I really can't complain. Even when you are successful in things, it requires a different part of you. So I'm even learning that the more that you get, the more that's required from you, and the more that you have to adapt. So it's almost like, I think, that mindset of like, oh, I hit a plateau, I'm going to coast. There's no coasting ever.
There's no coasting, Elevation Nation.
There's no coasting. There's peace, but there's no coasting. There's contentment, but there's no coasting. You have to keep continually grow. So that's where I'm at right now. So all good things.
Wow, bro, look, you dropping mic drops already. As a matter of fact, Elevation Nation, as you're listening to this is a perfect opportunity for you to go ahead, like, share, comment. Make sure your comments are in the comment section. Say it out loud. Get you a notebook, pen, paper, whatever is needed, because we are about to go. Marcus, let's talk to Elevation Nation. All right?
Yes.
Listen, right? I have, to honor the musician in you, right? I have the lyrics to the chorus of a song. So I'm going to read them.
Okay.
And so first, I'm going to test your memory to see if you know the artist, the title, and the album. You with me so far?
I'm with you. All
right. And then from there, we're going to go line by line and pull out some steps that can support us in operating from our unlimited potential. All right?
All right.
Unlimited potential. All right. So we got to come to the area of this song. So you ready?
I'm ready.
You don't know how far back I'm going. You don't even know. I ain't say it was gospel. I ain't say it was country. I ain't say any of that. I just said a song.
I am so nervous right now.
I got your back. I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't do this to you. All right.
All right.
Okay. Ready? Here we go. I'm gonna read it. Here we go. All right. No limits. No boundaries.
Hey.
I see increase.
Yeah.
Now I modified this phrase: within and around me.
Mm-hmm.
Stretch forward, break forward, release me, enlarge
my territory.
Okay, all right. Yeah. So I'm gonna see. I told you I had your back.
Yeah,
all right?
You got me.
I got you. I went safe on that one. All right.
Yes.
So artist.
Israel Houghton. Right?
Yes.
Israel New Breed. Yeah.
Yep. I'll take it. All right. Title of the song. As you can tell, he's a real musician, y'all. You know how first off, you don't know, he just dropped a couple notes so he could go through the area of
I'm trying to think of the verse. I'm not a man. Man, I don't know that title. Dream again. Yeah.
You go through the whole verse, right?
Take the limits.
Nope.
Limits. Something about limits. Something about limits.
Look, we're gonna go with that. All right. So
All
technically,
right.
when you look it up, it says take the limits off.
Take the limits off.
Yes, even some have labeled as no limits or enlarge my territory. I was gonna give you all three.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. I'll
All
take
right.
it.
So you got it. So we're going
I'll
with
take
that.
it.
All right. And that ties into the area of conversation. And I'll give you this pass on it, but that comes from the Alive in South Africa. So Israel, if you happen to see this episode, shout us out. We come from there. Move forward with it. All right. So let's go ahead and get into this. First phrase, no limits, no boundaries. All right.
Yeah.
So as a creative, a musician, an entrepreneur, what limits and boundaries have you had to overcome to reach your full potential?
Yeah. I think the first one is me. Um, I think the first one is fighting me. Just to even get into a space of feeling comfortable, of allowing myself to dream, allowing myself to see myself differently. So I think the first obstacle that I had to figure out wasn't external, but it was more internal. And I think that's the first one. That's the first one.
Wow. You got to go a little deeper.
Yeah. Yeah. And what I mean by that is I think identity is so big in a person's life, right? Right now, in the culture that we're in right now, there's a big emphasis on how we identify in things.
Okay.
So I think identity is important. And I think for me, as you do things in life, you get labeled certain things. So for me, it was always Marcus the musician, Marcus the drummer, Marcus, whatever. And I think there was a time where I was heading into ministry and I felt that what was being placed on me didn't naturally fit me. So I think it took me some years of unpacking and being like, who am I? Right? Because
Okay.
I was adopting what people were saying about me. Not all bad and not with ill intentions, but just wasn't uniquely for me. And I think for me, wrestling with what people have said to me versus what I'm feeling inside
That's good. That's good.
created this battle between the two.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's me versus me, just figuring that out.
Wow, me versus me.
Mhm.
Wow, man. Look, I love what you're saying, and there's so much power within that area. You even learn to take the limits off because a lot of times, like you're saying, it's that external validation sometimes that we use to say, okay, this is who I am. This is how I'm supposed to operate. You talked about the area of ministry, and I was going to even ask you, is all of your matter of fact, let the people know a little bit of what you do and who you are, because my question is, do you only operate in the realm of the church?
Oh no, no. So I am a creative. I am a creative first. I'm a connector of people. So I really value creatives, the lives of creatives, their hearts, their minds, their souls. So I'm a worship pastor, but I'm also an educator. I teach at a university, and I'm also a creative myself and a business owner. So I am not just one thing. I don't see ministry alone being something that's on Sunday morning. I really feel like it begins Monday morning and it carries itself out throughout the week.
Yeah.
So wherever I find myself, I'm carrying myself into those spaces. Right. So
Your
I
true
am the
self.
I am the common denominator in those spaces. And right, true self. Yeah, absolutely.
No, I love that. And that's why I wanted for Elevation Nation that's listening and watching, want them to understand and hear that aspect where even when you're talking about that area of limits and boundaries, you could identify that there could have been limits and boundaries placed on the area of operating from your gifts and how you choose to express yourself in the earth realm, just in this works for four wall church ministry, or no, you need to be here as a musician or play for this, or if you're writing music or doing whatever you're doing or operating, you know what I'm saying? Like coming
Yeah.
from there. But when I hear you express, you're saying there's no limits, there's no boundaries in that area. Like I'm an expression of God in the earth realm. Like I'm operating from that. So wherever it is that I need or desire to go ahead and go, we're cooperating and we got movement and motion. And I'm just, you know what I'm saying? So I think that's power and that's crucial. Like that's key for us those who are sitting there saying, look, maybe we've experienced being trying to get put in a box,
Mm-hmm.
because it makes people comfortable when they can label you as this. So the first time somebody meets you, right? When I first met you, I met you in a pastoral capacity pertaining
Right.
to officiating a wedding.
Mm-hmm.
So if I didn't know, then I would box you in and say, "Oh man, this must be a pastor. This must be that." But in conversation, I'm realizing that that was just a piece of how you can express yourself, right? Somebody
Yes.
maybe
Yeah.
sit you on a drum to say he's just a drummer, but you're more than that. And so when we get caught in the area of labels, I think the label, that's why I like the area of God being I am, and that's why I elevate it. It is God. Like
Yeah.
let's operate from that. The isness of who we are needs to be expressed in every realm. And so, sir, I just want to say thank you for saying yes to all of your isness, bro.
You lean into a heavy point, because I think I heard somebody say this before, that labels are good for items, objects, not necessarily people. And labels are important. Identifying if something is dangerous or not is valuable. So we're not taking that away. But I've really felt, in a sense, trapped, because I knew I wanted to do something for God. I just felt like I couldn't do it for him in the way that I felt like I should be doing it for him. You know what I mean? So yeah.
That's dope. That's dope. That's dope. All right. So I promised the people we're going to go through the phrase. So we did no
Yes.
limits, no boundaries. Next part is I see increase in my modification within and around me. So let's discuss a little bit of the power of visualization and imagination. As I always say, I love at the beginning of the scriptures how it talks about when God created things, right? When you look into this area, that creation comes from the area of imagination and visualization. And so everything that we're seeing, I've said to our clients and people that we do life with, I've been saying recently, what we're seeing is not the real world. What we're seeing is actually a manifestation of the real world, the area of imagination and God and what everything is happening. And so whether it's the table or the microphone, somebody had a thought and they said, "Oh, I wonder if I could do this, or wonder if I can do this," or not even a wonder, I know I can, especially when you realize the power of God within. You're like, look, so I'm imagining these things, imagining those things. So as we're looking at the area of that, and seeing increase within and around us, I want to know how you have utilized your thoughts, your words, and your feelings to help things to manifest in your own life.
Oh man. Okay. Loaded question. We're on the second one. How many more we got? I would say, for me, I've been very intentional on journaling at the top of the year, each year.
Okay.
And I go on a kind of a mini retreat. So I'll go somewhere and I'll have my journal and I'll pray. And whatever I feel like God is leading me to write, I'll write. And there's goals mixed into those things. Those are
Okay.
goals that I want to do externally, and there's goals that I want to do internally. What I've learned, that in those moments of vulnerability, of seeking direction, there's some ideas that I have that God gives me the green light for, and there's some that he gives me the yellow light for, and there's some that he says no. Right?
Okay.
So for me, manifesting, for me, aligns more so with God, what will you allow me to do? What will you breathe on? Because if you breathe on it, I know I'll have the grace to do it.
Okay.
Because you can technically do anything that you want. We have free will, right? But the difference for me, oh man, there's this a scripture that I was thinking through. It's escaping me. I think it was Moses. Let's say it was Moses. But basically, he was he was saying to God, like, if you don't go with us, we're not going. Like, it's plain and simple. Because if you don't go with us, who are we at that point?
Okay.
We're just another nation.
Yeah.
So for me, being intentional, sitting, writing, God, what do you have for me in my life? What am I dreaming also? Right? I want to bring that before you. And then I get to work at that point, right? Because I think when people think about manifestation, you need works with that. Right? You can dream of something that you want happening. Just because I dream of wanting to have let's make it materialistic. If I dream of having a car,
Mhm.
I want a car. You can pray about it for sure.
Mhm.
And I believe you can get strategy and insight of how to move and get godly wisdom to get that car. But also, you need to work for it.
Mm.
You need to put some practical things in place. And I think sometimes with charismatic expressions, whether it be the church or out in the outside world, it can be almost like it's a fairy tale of manifestation. So I'm just going to like dream it really hard and it's going to pop up.
Mhm.
And it's like, well, no, for me, once, if it's not God's will, I don't want it to pop up. And two, if it is His will, I'm still going to have to work for it. Right? There's no way around that, because I don't think God is more necessarily concerned about us getting something all the time. I think sometimes it's us becoming something too. So the first part is, okay, I want to dream outside of myself. What can I do with my hands, my heart? All right. The other one is, whatever I'm asking for to come into fruition into the earth, I know there's a side that has to be paid internally. Right?
Okay.
There's a weight that has to be paid. And what I mean by that is, I can't ask for something that I'm not ready to handle. Right?
Yeah.
So then I have to do the work and find out, how can I handle this? Because the worst thing is getting something that you dreamed for, that you loved, that you've been hoping and wishing for, and you're blessed with it, and then you spoil it. Right? So for me, it's basically like Saul, you're the first king, beautiful, but then you lose it. So for me, it's both. It's going to God, dreaming, allow myself to dream, listening, and then working and seeing what happens, realizing that it may not be a set outcome.
Okay.
Right? So holding that loosely, in a sense.
I love it. I love what you're sharing. And I have some other perspectives as well. Want to add to the area of the mix, and that's oneness, right? So a lot of times I think, and trust me, I am learning this. I'm in this journey that I'm on, right?
Yeah.
And so cooperating with God. The scripture also talks about the area that, apart from me, you can do nothing.
Yeah.
So it's an area where I'm aligned. Like, for me, it's an area of alignment. God is within me. It's not an area pertaining to, I even shared with somebody the other day, what you're desiring, what you want to go ahead and do. And that the mindset of, it's not a wrong mindset, but it's the mindset of, Lord, I'm waiting on you to just tell me what to do. And I said, I believe that there's an area of maturity or in a level that we can operate where it is just like even you see in the scriptures, it's everything I do is unto you, and my desires are your desires, because we're cooperating, and as we're moving forward, it's just the things that we're seeing. So I think that when you can take the thoughts, the feelings, the mindset, going back to area of Genesis, we're seeing that that area where there's the hovering over the water, that's an area where is a law pertaining to the area of vibration, and that hovering has to deal with that vibration that fills spaces and like water that fills up before it can go to a higher level. And so there's an area that we see God showing us and operating and coming from the area of oneness as we're operating and doing these things. So sitting with there, sometimes we have to discern between a good idea and a God idea, or egoic mindset as to natural. And that's what I kind of hear you saying within some of those things. I need to sit with self. Some things I just want to realize that it's my ego, and it's not a bad thing, but it's my ego just wants to get to these results, so to speak, right? But really, my area of God is saying, look, I want to express myself for the betterment of the person or the betterment of the goal. And so sitting with those ideas and being able to discern those, and then we move forward with that area. But it's always operating, at least aligning ourselves with the oneness of God. And that's the part that I'm saying, like, when we're sitting in silence, like meditation, alignment. Be ye transformed by renewing of your mind. Like, that's alignment. So once I align myself to the vine, align myself to God, it's all good. Like I've always said, this song said, when I move, you move, just like that. So if we can sit in oneness, it's a whole different level of the area. And another part is in Genesis, it's talking about the area where God rested on the seventh day. But I don't see any record pertaining to it saying that he came out of that rest. There is no area of talking about like morning or evening after that and looking at the area of the scripture. So it's a continual place of rest. So I don't subscribe to the grind mentality, but there's a work that cooperates with God, and that may look different. So I agree what work has to take place, but I also don't limit what that work looks like. Sometimes that work is prayer and meditation for a full day. Sometimes that work is making calls and connections that are divine aligned. Sometimes, but I do believe too that God, his universe, will give us and put before us as we make ourselves aware of those things that we're being intentional about. And so we're saying similar things, the same thing as we're operating and talking, but also the other perspective of highlighting the power of oneness, bro. So thank you for sharing that. And it hits my heart and mind. You're stirring. Go ahead.
No problem. No, I was just thinking, you know, out of all the things you said, I was really curious and kind of resonating with when you don't have to hustle for it. Right. And I think I've learned that the hard way. And there's some seasons where I still have to have that lesson be taught to me again. Because one of my prayers have been recently is, God, just position me where I need to be. Because I don't necessarily know all the time the best things or the best way or the best place or the best route. So for me, having that prayer of, can you position me? And really looking at the leaders in the biblical times that God used, that he elevated to be in this great, beautiful story, just seeing them doing these phenomenal things, but also being phenomenally flawed and then needing direction. And you know what I mean? Like Moses got to see God in a way I don't think any of us will on this earth.
Okay.
Right? And what I mean by that is like, show me your glory. I'm gonna hide you behind this rock. It was just some of these burning bushes, these vivid things, seeing that. And yeah, so I just been asking, like, just put me in position.
But you could also view, I'm already in position.
And how are you gauging that?
Because you got God within you. So it's an area of alignment. See, when I look at the area of God put me in something, sometimes it's the area of I don't have it. I'm not there. But the completed work of God is within us. We have to unlearn and learn all the time. It's the alignment of coming together, of oneness, versus the dualistic or dualism aspect of just having, I'll just say, the God in the sky. And sometimes we forget that he's within us.
Right.
So from there, it's about alignment. Yes, there may be things that I'm seeing in the false world, what I'm saying, that's like, okay, I got my ego on this and that, whatever. That can be an area of separation. So let me pray, let me pause to align myself to God within me so that we can move forward. So I'm not in lack. I'm not needing these things. I have everything that I need in the earth realm to do what I need to do successfully. The reason why it's not necessarily happening at times is because I haven't aligned myself to the area of the divine, the oneness area that is within me. So just a shift of mindset.
Yeah,
because a lot of times we sing the songs and different things like that can be like, I think about even worship sometimes. Like we sing these songs and it brings us so low. Like you're nothing. Oh, you're nothing. I'm nothing without him. I'm nothing. And I get it. And I understand that. But am I really without him? If in Genesis, I'm made in the image and likeness of God. And he created me and I have the isness of God within me, then how horrible am I really?
So now we're getting deep now. So you're saying that because of who you're made in, the image and likeness, that you have all that you need as long as that you're aligned, right?
I have all that I need. I just need to align myself.
You just need to align yourself. Now, is that aligning coming from the Holy Spirit, or is that aligning coming from just how you were made?
Both.
Okay. Because I know that there is a thought where people are like, because I was made in his image, I'm good. And then and they don't really accept or really kind of follow the Spirit's leading to be aligned. So that's why I was asking more clarity to see, okay, I got you.
Yeah, and I think too, I work on the area of not. See, I don't view people as broken.
Okay.
I don't. I view them as like a flower.
Okay.
And so a flower is beautiful, it's powerful. But I think that as my role in a coach and whatever I am, whatever title you want to give me in somebody's life,
Mm-hmm.
is not to just say you're right, you're wrong. It's an area to say you're a beautiful flower. What can I impart in your life to help you unfold and be the beautiful thing that God created you to be?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not talking just to Marcus.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking from divine to divine, the God within Marcus. That's alignment. The reason why we're connected is because of the area of the line. And I think a lot of times we spend a lot of time majoring in the minors.
Okay.
We're looking at all the things that we see, sense, all this earthly stuff. I told you this, but we got to get to the area of back to Eden, to the area of the divine area. So yes, you're identifying this, you're identifying that. I get all that other stuff, but for real, I think we're majoring in the minors. We're spending a lot of time dealing with stuff that is not from divine to divine, come from that area to really expressing what God is: love, God is beauty, God is intelligence beyond intellect, and all those things. So every time we're sitting in the area of judgment and all this other stuff, what we're dealing with and doing, we're separating ourselves from the greater cause. And that's why we can't move forward and do these various things, because at the end of the day, I have to put you in a box, creative, that we don't like the creative. Don't put me in a box for turning my gifts, but I want to put you in a box that I can put you in far as my isness.
Okay.
I'm a full expression. That's what I love God. You can't know the best word you can come up with, bro, about God still doesn't touch the tip of the iceberg of what God is.
Right.
In all of its expression. And so that's what I'm saying. When I'm sitting there and I'm vibing from that place, it's a whole new world for me. I got to really sit within that, because if we're connected, bro, whatever I judge on you, I got to go ahead and judge on myself, man, because we're connected. So if I'm going to look at you and say that you're doing this and you're doing all that and you're this and this and this and this and that's wrong, I don't know what level of unfolding you are. Look scripturally. When you area my man Peter, my man Peter's out there walking on water. My man Peter out there cussing. My man Peter out there doing all types of stuff, being used by God mightily. So if I get stuck on the person of Peter, but not the divinity of Peter, I miss it. Come here, Jesus the Christ. If I just get stuck on the person of it, then I just have a Jesus that's outside of me and that does all these examples that I'm trying to strive from. But if I look at the Christ, the anointed one that I'm made in the image and likeness of, and see that model, I go beyond person into presence. And presence-based living is the area of alignment that we can start seeing as some of the stuff that we're reading about.
Okay.
We ain't even. This is not even scripted. We're supposed to go through some stuff, bro. We went to a whole. We went to a whole level, bro.
This might have to be another episode.
You say you started praying this morning. I don't know what you prayed about this morning, but you tugging on me in a different way, bro. So if you want anything to that, we can go ahead with that, bro. But we can keep it going too.
Get back to the lyrics.
We have some things off camera. Oh man, I love it, man. Yes, so we said stretch forward, break forward, which aligns, right? So when we talk about the stretching and the growing process and experiencing those things that we've learned, what I want to know is, have you had the thoughts that could sabotage you, right? And if you have, here we go to the area of alignment. What have you done to align yourself back with that divine direction that you feel as though you're supposed to be going?
Oh yeah, I've definitely had sabotaging thoughts. It's more about, I think when my self-sabotaging kind of rears its ugly head, it's really about doubt for me. Mine looks in the form of doubt, right? Because everyone's self-sabotaging looks differently. So mine is, I have to check 10 times and then maybe possibly cut once.
Okay.
So I'm overly cautious to a point where sometimes it will delay me from moving or even slow my timeline up, because I just feel like I don't think I can do it. I don't think I'm at this place. What happens if it doesn't work out? And I was somewhere and someone was reading this book, and it was called The What Ifs. And this character was going through life. constantly asking the questions, what if? But the what if was always negative.
Okay.
So they were like, the what if is not bad, but what if you spend it and say, what if it's awesome? What if it's amazing?
Woo!
What if it's great? What if it's better than I thought?
Yeah.
So the self-sabotaging to me, it has been doubt. And what I have done with that is, and here we go with that spiritual side and then walking it out. Mine has been going to therapy. Right? Mine has been going for therapy for probably like 4 years. I went straight starting in the pandemic. And I really did a lot of heavy work. Really kind of going through some root problems and figuring out, why do I think the way I think? Why do I feel the way I feel? And there's a book a good friend of mine told me about called The Body Keeps Score.
Okay.
And it was talking about how trauma is kept in our body.
Yes.
And even though I am past the age and past that body, I'm not that little kid anymore. I'm not in that same setting or under that same environment, but my body still remembers it.
Yeah, that's good.
So for me, it's been one of those things where I had to like focus on the physical, because I was praying so much about it, but I was also ignoring getting the help that I needed.
Yeah.
So it's
Can I
like,
pause you?
yeah, please.
Because you're saying a lot. No, because I want Elevation Nation to jump on this and hear all the power of what's being said. And thank you for the transparency. You know, we Elevation Nation, y'all know therapy. I am in therapy on a regular basis. Again, for me in the area of alignment, because culture, because family, because what are all the stuff we've learned to unlearn. That's what I mean. It's a continual learning and unlearning, and therapy really helps me to learn and continually to unlearn things, because of, for me, you said doubt is, for me, was fear-based. So a lot of things are all the sabotaging in my life has been fear. Fear, right? So once I start to see that, I'm like, all right, cool. Who can I have in my corner to help operate from that place, to help me realize what the truth is about this situation? Because a lot of times fear is a reference to some type of a passionate situation, some past situation pertaining to my emotions, my feelings, my thoughts, so forth and so on. But the feeling tone for things that are of God is a feeling tone of present. Right? It's a feeling turn of the area of now, coming from that level, bro. So when you're talking about that area of therapy, thank you for even saying that, because some feel, again, it's no judgment, that, just praying or just doing this or just doing that. But you also, scripture talks about a multitude of counselors bring that area of success and wisdom and safety. So even the therapy or the counseling aspect of it, that's been a tremendous tool, I'm hearing you say, to help you, I'm going to say from on that side, to align to all that is within you, right?
Yeah, it's been you're a wild. It has been extremely instrumental to who I am as a person. I would tell friends this, especially creatives. Creatives, we're almost like empaths to a certain degree.
Yes.
We feel on a different
everything.
level.
Yes, sir.
And that's good, because we can then maybe articulate it differently and put it into our art.
Yes.
The dangerous part, if you do not have good systems of resolve, of working through things, then your art is great, but then your life can be in shambles.
Ooh.
So, I mean, let's really look at culture. Tell me how many superstars that have lost their lives, but we love their music today.
Yes, sir.
And they lost their lives by self-sabotaging. Right? So I typically try to tell creatives when I'm pastoring or in that mindset or setting, I say, I would rather for your life to overflow into art rather than your art to overflow your life.
Oh, that's a bar.
Right? Because if you have real life experiences and you're working through life, your art, I think, to me, is going to get better because it's coming from you. But if you're only worrying about the product, the art, the design, the drop, the podcast, or whatever, the video, then you're neglecting a part of yourself. You're neglecting the person who's doing the work.
Wow.
right? So
Wow.
then you're looking for something outside of you to help you
Mhm.
to progress. And people, they do a lot of interesting things when they feel that they're under pressure. So I'm on the thing of just therapy has been really helpful for me to acknowledge and to see the
Yeah.
patterns
Yeah.
for myself, right?
Yeah. I think the work, because you said that about 3 or 4 times with the area of work. And I think the work is self-awareness.
That's a big part. That's a big part.
Because the reason why I say that is I think about it like a treadmill. Sometimes you're just on the spiritual treadmill.
Mhm.
You know, a whole lot of movement, but you ain't going nowhere.
Right.
I mean, there's benefits,
Right.
but it's a whole lot of movement.
Mhm.
And I told somebody the other day that I was sitting with, and I said, we can be busy and fill our schedules up. Like, I don't see that as a problem, but are we being effective?
That's good.
And so sometimes it is to be still and know I am.
Mhm.
And that's the work. Because, oh man, I feel this thing. Because that's the area, and that's what I'm saying. Like I've learned to work differently, and
Mhm.
I can tell you, Marcus, I'm not joking. Because God, as my witness, my wife, or anybody else who's in my inner circle, to realize, like, I've had more productivity in prayer and meditation, in aligning myself and coming from the area of being aware of really what needs to go on within,
Mhm.
turning within, that when I got that resolve or that oneness or that awareness, then it comes to me. Like, I'm not, you talking about area, I mean, hello? Yes? I just had that thought. I just had that opportunity, whatever. It's like God is like, oh, for real? You about this? Oh, I got you. And then it turns into situation things I couldn't have. And then there's times too where I'm like, I'm on a mindset where I got to get it done. Like, even the area of the episodes that I had to plan last night, I'm sitting there like, before I reached out to you, bro, I had already cooked. I had already celebrated Juneteenth. I did what I needed to do. I'm like, yo, but I got to get this stuff done. And I
Mhm.
felt like, yo, you're toiling. But the blessing of the Lord, it gives you an increase, and there's no adding, and toiling doesn't increase it. So my wife said, babe, you just need to, like, don't force it. I feel that thing. Because some of us have been in a place where we just been forcing it, and forcing it. When I'm encouraging us to go from force to flow.
Mhm.
As a
Mhm.
creative, you know when you got that energy and that vibe, and you're like, oh no, I need to turn off my phone because I'm in that flow. But what do we have to do within us to help us live in the flow, not visit the flow? I
Mhm.
mean, live the lifestyle of flow,
Mhm.
bro.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that's that part, which brings me to the lyrics, and I ain't forget it, right? The area of release me, enlarge
Mhm.
my territory. So
Mhm.
what advice do you have to someone who is struggling to release their true self?
Oh man, that's a big question. Um, what advice do I have to someone release their true self? I'm gonna go back to what I was saying is I think to live in freedom, um, there's a releasing that needs to happen of let me say this of what you thought you wanted,
Hmm.
right? Because I think um right now, especially with how we get our content, how we deliver content, and how we communicate, a lot
Yeah.
of it is socially, but it's not as much social as it is algorithm based now.
Okay.
And I think what is happening is, and I don't know if you've seen this, I'm seeing people adopt their personalities from trends and from what's
Yes.
in season and what's out of season.
Yes.
And I think the more that we do that, the harder it is to feel a release, to come back home,
Ooh. Wow.
right? Because you're keeping up with a trend. You know,
Okay.
you were quoting the scripture about renewing your mind.
Mhm.
Um, um, the beginning, a little bit before that, talk about the patterns of the world,
Yes, sir.
right? So, like, there's a pattern. There's a pattern in social media. There's a pattern to creativity, and I think if you are just flowing into that pattern, not the flow that you're talking about, but flowing into that pattern, I think it's going to be hard to wake up and realize, who am I?
Yeah.
Right? Who am I?
Ooh, I'm sorry. So you said algorithm.
Yeah.
So this is where I look. We might have to do a part 2, bro. But listen, right. Would it look like to create our own algorithm?
Mm.
Because if I understand a little bit about the actual algorithms, they're so sophisticated that really what they are doing is mimicking after what you're creating and what you're putting out there. And this is what I've learned about even with the Elevated podcast. Bro, I have been so many different places. I'm still navigating my journey and how I'm desiring to express. So sometimes not even just off of the area of the trend and different things like that, but for me it was like I'm confusing, like YouTube don't know where to put me because I want to talk about this on this way. So if you're identifying for the listener, the viewer, this is what I'm about, this is what I want to deal with and do, and this is what I'm staying on. My son says standing on business. I'm standing on business in this area, and then I want to build from there. Then I'm fine from there. But
Right.
then there's the other trends like you're talking about, and I can go for names or all these popping situations. And I was tempted, bro. I was so tempted. I'm like, oh, I can jump on this Cat Williams thing. I can jump on this. I can
Right.
jump on that, and I can get the light. But sitting within, I was just like the emerging leader who needs to just and desires to like live, experience, and express God and have success from spiritual principles. I can still utilize that, but I can't drift from where I need to go ahead and be. And if I am starting outside and not inside, then you're right. All I'm saying is let me find the next trend to get the right like and the right this and the right that. But I don't know about you, but for me, it's hard for me to teach and even speak something that my empath is not like I have to feel.
Yeah.
I have to have
Right.
a feeling
Right.
tone
A
around that
connection
thing.
to it. Yeah.
That's why I said to you with the topic, I was like, you good with this? Because bro, like if we can't vibe like that, there's no transmutation of the energy, man, that's going to go ahead and shift out to help even hit that heart and mind. You feel me?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I think, but for you, as we talked a little bit about this offline about the algorithm briefly, but you're building a path. You're forging a path. You're not riding on one that's already existed.
Yee.
So it takes more time to build a path than just to ride on one. But it's necessary to build it so people can then ride on it. It creates another lane for them. And right now, what you're building, there's limited lanes. So your emerging leaders need you to deal with those frustrating moments up front. And okay, what does the algorithm want now? And this goes back to labeling. And you know what I mean? It goes back to what you're doing necessarily can't be labeled. It can be like you have a mission statement, but in their context, they're trying to box you in. Keep going for it and creating a pathway for the people that you feel that you've been called to create a pathway for, because they're going to be able to ride on it one day.
Wow, thank you, man. Thank you. Matter and notes to all the editing. I need this part that Marcus said. I need that specific clip for me personally. Bro, thank you for that, man.
No problem.
And look, we are at that point in place, man. And so the last part was enlarge your territory, and you've already started because I think that's the area of flow. And so what I want to do is I want to encourage Elevation Nation by giving you an opportunity after you share with us your social handles to just leave us with a word that we can take throughout the week. I mean, whatever it is in the area of the flow, just to encourage them. You've encouraged me personally with that statement. And I mean, I received that. It's so much on time for where I'm at. Like, I mean that. Like, I want that specific clip. I will take it and have it for me personally. If and when I have some of those sabotaging thoughts that try to come in, I got to realize where I'm at and what God is doing. As we're cooperating and releasing in this world. So let me know where we can find you on social.
Yeah, Marcus Myers. That's MYERS_. And that's pretty much for all of my socials: YouTube, Instagram. I think I have a TikTok.
Okay.
Yeah, so all of those things are uniform. So Marcus Myers _. And You can find music on YouTube that I've done. You can find a podcast that I've done, and kind of a weekly Bible study that I've done called Creative Process for creatives. Yeah, where they feel like they just, I really I want to meet them where they're at. And some creatives, because of their lifestyle, can't necessarily come to church on a Sunday because maybe they're touring or maybe they have an art exhibit or a show. But also, I wanted to give you the word and have it have some application to how you can apply it to your field.
Love it.
So that's called Creative Process. So you can check
And that's
that
on
out.
YouTube?
That's on YouTube.
Okay. So they can subscribe to that channel. Marcus Myers is the channel?
Underscore. Yep. Marcus Myers underscore.
And then we can go ahead and dial in from there. You got any events or anything popping up that Elevation Nation can tap into?
No, right now
any music coming forward? What you got? Come on, let us. Can we get the scoop? What my kids say, the tea,
the exclusive scoop,
the tea.
Right now, I am working on a few things that I cannot publicly say.
Oh.
I cannot publicly say, but it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be really good when it finally does come out. It's something that I've been sitting with for 4 years.
4 years.
4 years. 4 years,
bro.
Yeah.
And you ain't gonna let Elevation get a little.
It's been 4 years, so I gotta hold on a little longer.
Oh, okay. All right.
But
I respect that. But we need the links when it's available.
Yes.
So that we can go ahead and support and be a part of this journey, man. We listen. I honor you.
Thank you.
In the movement that you're making in the earth realm. I've had the opportunity to meet your wife, and prayerfully we'll be connecting in a greater way. Man, I am so grateful for your expression and just who you are, man. I have to have you come back, man, because I already know it's going to be a conversation offline for some stuff that we didn't get to. So, man, I thank you. Can you leave us with a word of empowerment that we can take throughout our week?
Yeah. One of the things I was thinking through as we were talking, for whatever reason, Release Me is kind of resonating in my mind still, even though we're past that point. And there's a scripture that says, the person who tries to save their lives will lose it. The person who lays down their life will save it. And I know that might seem like a backward statement, like how is that possible? But I would say when you relinquish who you think you are, what you thought you wanted, there's a beauty in that. That's found in Jesus. And I want to say this to every creative, everyone on the Elevation Nation. I want to say this to you. God is calling you to be uniquely you. You do not have to, your ministry may not look like other people. Your servant too, it may not look like other people. So I don't want you to feel like you're an outsider, because who you are and what you are doesn't look like what you've seen. Perhaps maybe God wants to do something different through you and how he created you. And you're not alone. There are people out here. You have Elevation Nation, you have Creative Process. There are people out here who are building communities for you so you don't feel alone.
Man, I love it, man. Thank you, Marcus, and Elevation Nation. Thank you as always for joining us. And if you love this conversation, you have to be sure to stick around for this next episode that is designed to help you deal with that pressure, that self-pressure that we were talking about, that self-pressure for success. All right. So you are amazing. We love you, and you are already blessed.